Hello, welcome to another edition of Lakers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Esco, and today on the show we're going to talk about the new head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, Bryon Scott. We're going to talk about how the Lakers will fare this season under Bryon Scott. I'm going to give you some theories on why the Lakers waited so long into hiring Bryon Scott. And finally, we're going to end the show off by talking what lies down the road for the Lakers in the upcoming seasons. So let's get started. So a couple weeks ago, the Lakers hired, as their 25th head coach in franchise history, Bryon Scott. I love the hiring. I thought the hiring was smart. It was timely. But most of all, it was important because the franchise was in a tailspin. They had made two bad decisions with head coaches, Mike Brown and D'Antoni. However, I did like their interim between Brown and D'Antoni, Bernie Bickerstaff. He did really well. That was a really good interim coach. But besides that, it was terrible. I think Bryon Scott is making a new era in Los Angeles, trying to make it better. Obviously, that goes without saying. With the Lakers tradition, that's what you have to do. He said in his press conference, for us, it's always the same expectations, championship or bust. And that's what I love about a coach. Somebody's just going to tell you it straight up. And I just love that about him. He's a defensive first guy, opposite from what our last head coach was, a offensive first head coach. I used to tell everybody, Mike D'Antoni was the kind of coach where you want to have the most points at the end of the game. And people would look at me like, well, duh, that's how you're supposed to win games. And I would tell them, no. What I mean by most points to end the game is you want to make sure you have the most points because you're not going to stop anybody with D'Antoni. So it's not going to be a 90 to 88 game if you win for the Lakers with D'Antoni. It's going to be something like a 117, 110 victory or a 123, 120 game. I mean, you won, but you still gave up over 110 points. I loved his press conference. He talked about defense several times in his opening, and that's what you gotta love. He said he's gonna hold everybody accountable from the bench to the starters, and that's also another thing I love. I love that he has a good relationship with Kobe, because he can be tough to coach sometimes, and only a certain amount of people have been able to get across from him. Been able to really steer him in the right direction. That's Phil, and that's it so far. Really, that's been able to let him under his wing is Phil, and then Byron and Kobe has had a really good relationship ever since Kobe got into the league. Because Byron, maybe not a lot of people know this, Byron did play with the Lakers in Showtime, but then he came back in '96 when Kobe was a rookie, and they were teammates for the 1 year Kobe was a rookie, and they've just had a bond ever since, and they've stayed in contact with each other, and they're still close buddies. And I think that was huge for the Lakers hiring somebody like that to get across to Kobe. Like I said, he doesn't really have a lot of people to get a hold of him because he is, like Mike D'Antoni says, he's like a wild stallion. Trying to. He's like trying. What do you say? He's like trying to. It's like trying to hold on to Secretariat. It's really hard doing that. And so I thought that was a good hire. But they will have some learning curve, and they will have to struggle some before you win. That's with all teams, all big franchises. Look at the Bulls in the 90s. They struggled before they won. They had to get past the bad boys. The Heat struggled before they won 2 straight. So every team, the early 2000 Lakers struggled before they started winning. They had to struggle with the Spurs, and so it all depends on who you have and what coach you have. And with the Lakers, the coach they have is perfect for them. Former Laker from Showtime. So I think it's going to be a good fit, and it's good seeing the Lakers are going in the right direction. So right now, let's talk about how Lakers are going to do this season. I think it'll be all right. Like I had said previously in my last statement, they're going to have some growing pains before you win. That's with all teams. I think they will have moments of greatness and moments of a new coach in the position, forgetting sets, plays, stuff like that. But I think they could squeak into the 8th seed, and this is not my Lakers homer peeking out. And people can comment and say, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about," and this and that. Well, what I do see is the Lakers staff and the Lakers team is a little better from last year. Granted, they did get rid of Pau Gasol, but for the most part, it's a touch better. Pau last year, he was not there mentally or physically for the Lakers. So, he did not want to play with D'Antoni. He didn't use him right, and that's a little knock on D'Antoni. Just not D'Antoni. It doesn't matter what he has in the cupboard. He still wants to make a souffle, even though the ingredients you need for a souffle aren't there. He still tries to make one. It's like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, but I'm still gonna make it. It's instead of making the best meal you can with what you have. And that's exactly what D'Antoni was. Trying to make a souffle without the proper ingredients. Having Pau Gasol shoot, 3-pointers, and I'm like, oh my gosh. He'll make a couple, but he's not, going to be in any 3-point contest anytime soon. He never, he was hardly ever posted them up, and it was just, he's an anti-Popovich. Popovich doesn't really have a style you play. He just works what he's given. Krzyzewski does that too at Duke. He never really has a style, really. He just works with what he has. And D'Antoni, he just puts his system on whoever is there. And that really hurt the Lakers in the last 2 seasons he coached them. But anyway, like I was saying, the Lakers could sneak into the 8th seed. They have some good players. Jeremy Lin, Jordan Hill. I love the re-signing Jordan Hill. Jordan Hill is that scrappy, grindstone player who can get the little tough points. And I've just always loved Jordan Hill as a player. Maybe more than others. I just always liked him. I'm not going to pay him like top dollar. I'm going to pay him as he should be paid. A guy who can just get those tough, grinded out points, who can give you those tip-ins and putbacks. And he's 2 years, $10 million, I believe. I think it's 210 he got. Nick Young, I think they overpaid for him, 4 years. And Steve Nash worries. I still don't know about Steve Nash. I think Steve Nash is, thank goodness he said that this was going to be his last year, because I don't know how many years he has left. There was a bad contract the Lakers did. He was slowing down even with the Suns. and then to give him 3 more years was just a little bit stupid. I thought, what are you doing? He was eroding even in Phoenix, and then now, how do you think he's gonna do? Just start being like Steve Nash, who won back-to-back MVPs? No, you're not gonna improve after you just regressed. That's just not how it works, unless you take some HGH or something. Shout out to you, Barry Bonds. But sneaking to an 8 seed, but it's going to be tough. The West is no joke. It's not a joke at all. It's I told people, if Chris Bosh would have went to Houston, that East would have been a LeBron ACL away from being a D League conference. That's how close it was. It's a very, very weak conference, the East, and that's just the exact opposite for the West. You have the Warriors, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Grizzlies are tough. They took the Thunder to the limit in round one this year. The Warriors, the Kings are up and coming. Look out for the Kings. The Suns surprised everybody. They almost made the playoffs. The Jazz aren't there quite yet, but they're getting there. The Timberwolves will probably regress after they trade Kevin Love, but they do get Andrew Wiggins, so they'll be better throughout the years. That's just a incredibly tough conference. So they could, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they didn't make the playoffs. No matter how hard Kobe pushes for playoffs, because knowing his expectations of playoff or bust, he's going to will his team to the nth degree. So finally, you know what? Before we go, I want to let's give out some theories on why the Lakers waited so darn long to fill this coaching spot with Bryon Scott. I have some theories. Theory number one, I was hearing this from a couple other people, and they were probably waiting for Doc Rivers. If things weren't going to go smoothly, they were going to sign Bryon Scott. That was a, long shot. Long shot. And I'll tell you more about, the way I feel about long shots in my last take on the Lakers. But yeah, it was a long shot. It was like a lottery ticket. It like a 5% chance of happening. But that's what I heard. I didn't really buy too much into that. Another theory I have is that they wanted to have the prime spotlight. They knew the World Cup was going on, so they didn't want to get, stashed away in the news filter from the World Cup. So they wanted... Now, this is just my theory. I don't know anything, so don't be coming, No, I don't know anything. So this is just my theory, is that they wanted to wait until there was absolutely nothing going on that day that they hired him. Nothing... No news on any of the sports. World Cup's not going on. That's over with. All the free agency's over and done with. So they wanted to be the top news story of that day in sports. And I think it was perfect the perfect day they did it, because there was absolutely nothing going on in sports that day that they hired him. I don't think that's a coincidence if you think about it. The Lakers are a look-at-me franchise. The anti-Celtics. The Celtics are not really a look-at-me kind of team. But the Lakers are. And they're like, oh, look at me. Look at us. We just hired our 25th coach in franchise history. Look at us. Look at us. Nothing going on in sports but this. So that's another theory that I had. Take that as what you may. Lastly, let's talk about what lies down the road for the Lakers in the upcoming years. Now, what I talked about, hope and a prayer for the Doc Rivers. That's what they do with the upcoming years. They're putting this like on a lottery ticket. Oh, we have enough cap space, we could get Kevin Durant, and oh, we have enough cap space, we could get Kevin Love. Well, that's not going to work out. And they just have all these like, you know, genie in a bottle wishes. They don't really have a plan. They just hope and wish that they could get this guy or that guy, and not really having a certain plan of attack. I mean, they got Randall, but I was hearing rumblings that they were trying to trade him for Bledsoe. I was like, what are you doing? I mean, I like Bledsoe, don't get me wrong, but don't be trading Randall. I love Randall. Miss Hannah for Randall. I think the Lakers need a plan of attack. They can't have their top priority be, well, we're just going to sign a whole bunch of 1-year contracts and 2-year contracts and we'll be good to go. Because Russell will be a free agent and Kevin will be a free agent. And you can't, they tried doing that this year and that didn't work. They tried, giving everybody 1-year contracts and then they're going to get LeBron James or get Carmelo Anthony and they'll be good to go. Well, they didn't. They didn't get Carmelo, they didn't get LeBron, and they lost Powell. So, but they did re-sign Nick Young. Oh, good thing they re-signed Swaggy P. Whew. They won with, they ended the free agency with Jordan Hill, who I love, Xavier Henry, Jeremy Lin, and Nick Young. That's not going to get it done. I mean, all these hopes and wishes always go awry if you continually talk about it. So that's what I have to say, and that's my opinion. Take that for what you may. This has been Lakers Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll put out another one. I'll make sure I'll put out another one before the season. Do like a little season preview. So this has been Jack. It's been real.